NXT officially claims the Cruiserweight Championship and everybody gets a little bit of mic time. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your October 9th NXT review. And I know, we had a really bad Sunday, didn't we? The Fiend and Rollins was absolutely retarded, wasn't it? And we're not supposed to talk about anything even remotely associated with WWE, but you know what? NXT reviews are the tentpole of this channel, and NXT is the one thing in WWE that we can point at as not being WWE. So that's what we're going to do. As I said, as we roll along through the Wednesday Night War, I may eventually roll out into some AEW reviews. Myself and Guapo may do a little bit more collaborative stuff that way. I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions down in the box below. But for the time being, as it is, this is NXT. I'm your buddy, your pal Spaz Phoenix, and this is what we do. Well, you know what else we do? We do the house cleaning. Speaking of myself and Guapo, I want you guys to tune in Friday, 7 p.m. Well, 7 p.m. my time, whatever your time is. Figure it out. We did a very lengthy review for you guys. It's going to be a little out of date because it was recorded the night after Hell in the Cell. It was recorded before Raw, so it's a review of WWE AEW Premiere Week. We said it in our preview. This is going to be the first week of what wrestling is going to look like for the next little while. It's going to be the revamped Raw. It's going to be the debut of AEW. It's going to be the first proper episode of NXT on USA. It's going to be the first SmackDown on Fox, and we capped it off with the Hell in the Cell just because it happened to be the same week. And there's a lot of talking points to come from, isn't there? From Cain Velasquez to that boxer who I don't know who the hell he is, to Team Hogan and Team Flair at Saudi Arabia, and much more from the sounds of the press conference that are happening this Friday, to obviously Hell in the Cell, which was a pay-per-view with some good points until we got to that main event. Anyways, we go into it in a lot of depth. We cut down each show and what we thought of it and all that sort of thing. The big, weird ending of AEW with the Thing through the glass. Jericho with his ragtag bunch of rascallions. We talk about it all. I will warn you guys, it is about 2 hours long. It does start at 7 p.m. on Friday. Please check it out. Please share out the link. This is one of the more fun collaborations I've done in a while. I'm very lucky to have the co-hosts that I have. Myself, Kristen, Guapo, you guys know the co-hosts I've had in the past. Recently we've brought Jake DeMarco on. I hope to have him on again soon. But the collabs I have the opportunity to do on this channel, that I'm privileged to do on this channel, are a lot of fun. And this one was no exception. And there was some ranting, there was some raving, but there was also some good stuff in the mix. So if you can find it in your heart, if you guys like the collab stuff that I do, please check out that premiere on Friday, 7 p.m. Please share the link if the mood hits you. Also, something we only touched on in that video because I hadn't really seen it yet was this whole idea of AEW Dark. The idea that they're going to do a YouTube show on Tuesday that is the dark matches from the previous week, and it's hosted by Tony Schiavone. It's done like studio style, where he does the introduction to the match in the studio, and then they throw to the tape from the show. It's a neat little idea. I don't know that it's going to sustain itself. It's innovative in its concept, and you know, WWE showing their dark matches wouldn't matter because it's just repetitive garbage. So I checked it out this week. I'm taping this on Wednesday. Obviously you guys are going to see this Thursday, but yesterday was Tuesday. I did check out AEW Dark. It's fun for what it was. You know, SCU versus the Jurassic Express, and Darby Allin took on I don't know whether it's pronounced Cima or Chima. Somebody tell me down in the box below. There was a women's match. You guys know what I think of their women's division. No slight on any of the women in that division. Please let me be clear. But that is the one area of the Wednesday Night War where I think NXT has that win locked up. But the other thing I will say is I just threw up a little video earlier on today. It is a promo from Channing Decker at Destiny, who this Sunday at their live event, Haywire, is taking on AEW's Shawn Spears. He cut a little, like, I think it's not even 2 minutes. He got a little 2-minute promo. I put a clip of it up, so it'll be the video immediately before this video. I do encourage you to check it out, because you guys can see Channing Decker, who I've been telling you guys about for a long time, who maybe a lot of you, I'm guessing, aren't familiar with. But this is the guy that's taking on Shawn Spears at Destiny Haywire on Sunday. That being said, watch me on social media if you follow me on social media, at SpazPhoenix on Instagram, at SpazPhoenix1 on Twitter, because Twitter kicked my other account, and yay, add a 1, that's what we do. I will be tweeting and sharing as much as I can from that event. I will probably have, you know, slideshow like I typically do from these shows. I hope that I'll have more information to tell you guys at that point about when their televised thing with Fight Network is going to start, and when you guys can check that out, and when you guys can see what on your own TVs or tablets or computers or whatever, what I've been rambling about for about a year now. That's the house cleaning, and I always ramble through the house cleaning, don't I? Let's start off this preview, or sorry, this review tonight. I can speak, I swear. We start with a recap of last week, all the champions retaining their titles, the returns of Ciampa, the returns of Balor, Damian Priest, who we're going to talk about much later on, attacking Finn Balor. And then we go on to the opening contest tonight. Now, I will say, I've heard the dirt sheets, I've heard the rumors that AEW might have been preempted or pushed back a couple of minutes because of some baseball game on the American affiliate. I'm not really sure how it all works out, but the idea was the show might be delayed and NXT might counter-program, because that's the new favorite term in the parlance of the YWC, and put something great on first. And guess what? They did put something great on first. They put on the Cruiserweight Championship match between Lio Rush and Drew Gulak, but almost equally as important as this match was the announcement of what we were all speculating last week, that Cruiserweight Championship is no longer the WWE Cruiserweight Championship, because the 205 Live guys now live on NXT, even though they still have 205 Live, which is weird, because that belt now lives on NXT. It is now the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, which means we need to get a new belt at some point, but we'll take it when we get it. So, Lio Rush, Drew Gulak for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship starts with, before I get into the match, I do want to mention this. I don't get on my moral high horse a whole bunch about other issues outside of WWE a lot, but I do want to tip my hat to both Lio Rush and to Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo, we all know on social media, is a very, very, very big advocate of mental health and mental wellness and self-care and all that sort of thing. It became quite prevalent when he had his altercation with JBL, led to him leaving SmackDown and eventually coming back and doing the NXT thing. Those of you that know me know I watch a lot of What Culture, watch guys like Simon Miller and Jules Gill, who also do the same sort of thing. Lio Rush hasn't spoken about it much, but I think the idea of Mauro Ranallo bringing attention to Lio Rush, bringing attention to that, I don't want to say cause, because people aren't victims. People are stronger than they're made out to be in stereotypes and whatnot. But I think the combination of Lio Rush, Mauro Ranallo on the only viable brand left in WWE, it can only be a good thing. So while Lio Rush is in there doing his thing, not being brought down by his issues, Mauro Ranallo on commentary, very much the same, not being brought down by his issues, but Mauro Ranallo is the one with the voice. Mauro Ranallo is the voice for both of them. In that regard, I thought it was really, really cool, really, really classy. The message didn't overstay its welcome. And Mauro Ranallo is just a really good commentator, in case you didn't know. We start off the match with Lio Rush hitting a running Spanish fly on Drew Gulak, followed by a suicide dive, followed by a moonsault off the apron on the outside. Front slam by Gulak and a corner clothesline, chops by Gulak and a Rings of Saturn. He turns it into a key lock. Body shots by Rush, high knees by Gulak. Gulak works the arm with a series, and there's a series of strikes by Rush. Front slam by Gulak, kicks... I can speak, I swear. Front slam by Gulak. Rush makes it out to the outside onto the turnbuckle. He knocks him off the turnbuckle, but also he falls to the outside and falls into the laps of some of the techs on the outside of the ring. That's... I don't know what to say. That's a really cool extra little thing, because it's a little choreographed. If you know there's going to be a spot where somebody's falling off of that turnbuckle and suddenly nobody's there, like there's not a camera tech, there's not a guy, you know, the guys that do a very good job of not being seen, moving around the ring, making sure the cables aren't in the way and whatever, to have a couple people out there and, you know what, have a sort of a shit happens moment was kind of cool. Not that I want to see anybody get hurt or anything like that, but that did send us into the commercial break. Now, I will say, the stream that I was watching, you guys know my struggles, Canadian wrestling fan trying to watch NXT on the right night. I'm depending on a lot of streams right now. Watch Wrestling and WatchWrestling24.com are still the ones I suggest to any of you guys that are trying to watch it where it's not playing in your area. But they were very hit and miss with where the commercial breaks were, because I know the USA Network does the picture-in-picture thing, which is awesome. I was just getting used to that. And for this stream that I was watching, sometimes it left the picture-in-picture, and sometimes it just cut right out until the commercial break was over. I don't know. So, in some of these matches, there may be shit that I missed, and if there's shit that I missed, I don't know that I missed it. How about that? Top rope lariat by Gulak as we come back from sort of a juddery, me trying to get my stream back. Body shots by Rush and neck vice by Gulak. A torture rack slam by Gulak and some right hands. Seated sleeper by Gulak and a series of strikes by Rush. Tornado DDT by Rush that was pretty, followed by a cruiserweight set of Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Oh yes, lariat by Gulak. And we get this weird thing, because Rush tries to go for the springboard stunner, and I'm going to call it the springboard stunner because we didn't find out what it's called until the end of the match. He goes for that springboard stunner, Gulak catches him in the GULAK, and then Lio Rush, thinking on his feet, flips out of the GULAK and tries to turn it into a pin attempt. I think he gets a 2 off of that. Cyclone Crash by Gulak, Final Hour by Rush, that great shooting 5-star frog splash that he does. He hits him with the come up, which is apparently that nickname for that bottom rope springboard stunner that he does. Hits him with the come up, hits him with a second Final Hour, and Lio fucking Rush is your new NXT Cruiserweight Champion. And we had a cool little thing here, because we had Regal out, really happy. You could tell Lio Rush was really happy. A little bit of the realism sort of soaking through there is always good. Regal is there. He's obviously aware of where Rush is coming from and where he went, and now he's back and all that sort of thing, and he's proud as hell to hand him the belt. Gulak comes back into the ring and he takes the belt from, because I'm sorry, I fucked that up. Regal was actually going to present him with the belt, i.e. put it around his waist for him. Gulak came out to interrupt all that, took the belt back, sort of stared down Lio Rush for a second, and in a really cool, respectful moment, he sort of like pressed the belt like into his chest, like handing it to him. They're not friends, they're not buddies. Earned his respect in the middle of the ring. Really cool little moment there. And it wasn't until that moment that I thought maybe Drew Gulak's going up in the draft. I don't know what they would do with him. I don't know what I see him doing. But this match combined with this moment at the end was really sort of a goodbye match moment. We all know when we watch NXT and there's a takeover and there's a great champion that loses their belt, but they lose it in this really grandiose, waving goodbye to the crowd type of way, that, you know, they're going to get the call up, as fortunate or unfortunate as that is. The way they did this here kind of felt like that. And if they're going to make the weekly show a little bit more pay-per-view value, then maybe those moments are just going to start happening on the weekly show. I've already heard the rumor that Royal Rumble and WrestleMania next year don't have an associated takeover attached to them. Now that's retarded, let me be clear. I think they're going to do a Worlds Collide type of event on the Saturday instead, which is infuriating. But if the payoff to that is that we get more pay-per-view value content every week in NXT, I guess you got to take what you can get. Speaking of Fury, by the way, go check out my buddy OKFabe's review, the OKFabe show after Hell in the Cell. I've never seen Connor angry like that, and it's quite good, and rightfully so. Nobody can argue. I think everybody, I don't think anything WWE's done in a long time has absolutely unified the WWE fans You know, there's not much difference of opinion. It's not like, oh, I like this person, well, I like this person. Oh, well, we're going to agree to disagree. I don't think there's a single person that wasn't fuming at the end of Sunday. This is me. I said this on Twitter, and I know I'm going off on a tantrum here for a second. I said this on Twitter the other night, something along the lines of, and it's fully true, I just don't remember what I said at the time, but it's basically, the idea being, WWE basically runs through my veins. I have excused a lot of their shit, to the point where I still manage to have fun watching their Saudi Arabia shows. Politics aside, that's a separate issue, I'm not having fun at that expense, but the shows themselves and how ridiculous they are, I manage to have a lot of fun, usually because I've got a couple Smirnoffs in my hand / in my system. I got nothing for what they did to us on Sunday, for what they did to The Fiend, and for what they did to Seth Rollins, for all intents and purposes. As I say, we dig deep on this particular issue in the video that's going up on Friday, myself and Guapo. If you can't tell, I'm really advertising that video because we really had a lot of fun doing it, and I think it's really good, and I really think you guys should go check it out, and I think you guys will like it, and I really want to hear some feedback. I do have a very loyal audience on this channel, but what I don't get a whole lot of is feedback. I wish you guys would talk at me more. Tell me I suck if I suck. Tell me I'm great if I'm great. Tell me I'm right down the middle if you think I'm right down the middle. But yeah, when I put out something like the video that's coming out this Friday, I really do hope it sparks some discussion. And if it doesn't spark some discussion necessarily with me, you guys have your own conversations. That's why I love doing the premiere thing, is, you know, I can watch you guys in the chat, the comment section, whatever. Facebook's doing a thing, we can deal with that later. You know, I don't always go out there to piss people off, like I sort of did with the Sasha Banks video and some of the other videos I've done in the past. But this is just WWE AEW Premiere Week, warts and all, I guess as the expression goes. We see Walter warming up in the back for what we now know is going to be the main event between Walter and Kushida. The main event. For the second week in a row, they did a run over, so if they didn't get the AEW fans at the beginning, they're going to get them at the end. We'll talk about that later as well. We get a video package on the career of Finn Balor, in case any NXT fans don't know who Finn Balor is, but, you know, WWE video packages, they do it too. We see, once again, and I will say, I'll give them a little bit of criticism here, it is getting a bit old at this point now. We see, once again, a replay of Tegan Nox and the injury she suffered in the Mae Young Classic, and the recovery, and everything that she's done. I'm not putting down her efforts, and I'm not putting down how excited I am to see her back in the ring, or how excited I was to see her back in the ring, NXT UK, back when I was watching that. Let's be real, that's fallen to the wayside a little bit. But I can only watch this girl get hurt so many times before it loses its impact. And it shouldn't lose its impact, should it? But she's going to debut on NXT proper next week, and that's wonderful. Total side note, speaking of impact and things we shouldn't be desensitized by, go see Joker. Don't listen to the weird critics out there. Don't listen to people out there making social, political / SJW statements about it. And, oh, if you like this, you must be this person. Go see Joker. I saw Joker after work on Friday before I saw SmackDown on Fox. Go see Joker. Totally unrelated. Nothing to do with NXT whatsoever, but that is my statement to all of you. Go see Joker. I am hoping to get together with Kristen at some point and do a proper review and discussion about that video, because there's a lot to sink your teeth into. Anyways, coming off of the Tegan Nox injury again, recovery again thing, and the announcement that we're going to see her next week, we do see Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah, and Aaliyah's got Vanessa Bourne with her, unfortunately. But, you know, once again, this is NXT trying to rip my heart out, because Aaliyah's my hometown girl. I think she's drastically underutilized, but Rhea Ripley is a fucking badass. Now, let me tell you about this match, right? Collar and elbow tie up and a toss straight face down by Ripley and followed up by a snapmare. Aaliyah gets the brilliant idea to rake her nails down Rhea Ripley's back, and that's, spoiler alert, the only offense she gets in this match. Rolling clotheslines by Ripley, a dropkick by Ripley. She does that standing figure four thing that she did in NXT UK, but she's added to it now, which is good, because she's obviously, other than Baszler, she's bigger than everybody else on that roster. So she does that standing figure four, spins her around a little bit, and then from that standing figure four position, sort of whips her out a little bit and turns it into a facebuster for the win. Comes out afterwards, talks about how awesome Shayna Baszler is as a champion, how she's beat everybody, how she's made everybody tap, nap, or snap, except me. And if anybody's going to take the title off of you, it's going to be me. And I immediately grabbed my phone, went on Twitter, for whatever Twitter is worth, and said, give me more Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley. Oh, yes. And there's somebody else that we're going to talk about later on that's trying to stick her nose into that mix who just needs to stay out, in my opinion. We got Breezango versus Everrise, except we don't. Breezango come out, and they've got different music, and they've got different outfits because they're doing a construction worker gimmick, and at this point, I think they're just working through all the different village people. Was one of the village people a construction guy? Yeah, I think he was. That pun probably doesn't work. Tell me down in the box below that that pun didn't work. We don't get Everrise, though. What we have is Jackson Riker carrying out both members of Everrise over his shoulder as his guys go to the ring. Breezango versus Forgotten Sons. 4 reasons is what we got, but I don't know what to tell you, because this is one of those moments where me depending on a stream failed. Basically, I lost the length of this match, because that's how long it took me to get the stream back. I know that the Forgotten Sons won. I'm pretty sure it was dominant. I'm pretty sure that Breeze and Fandango sold like madmen for them, because that's what they do. What's his name? Tyler Breeze got punched in the face at Hell in the Cell by Tamina. 4 reasons. Tamina's back. Yay! I want to watch the main roster, don't I? Boa took on Cameron Grimes, except he really didn't. He took a jobber loss after the double stomp in like 5 seconds. But I bet nobody's going to be as upset about that as they are about what happened on SmackDown, are they? No, because Kofi agenda? Yeah, because Kofi agenda. Moving on. Killian Dane comes down, again, 4 reasons. Grimes looks up, sees him, shits his pants and leaves. Killian Dane beats up Boa, hits him with a Vader bomb, slams him on the commentary desk. Awesome. Nice, easy night for Killian Dane. We replay Damian Priest attacking Pete Dunne from last week, which is good. He's got a voiceover going over the entire thing, and basically he's all talking in metaphors because that's the kind of character that he is. He really does more and more remind me of the Eric Draven character from The Crow, doesn't he? All he would have to do is paint his face, but then he'd basically be Sting, so I don't know. Basically he says, Pete Dunne, I know exactly who you are. Your name is a target, and I'm taking aim. My name will live in infamy. Later on in the night, we got a video package that's from Pete Dunne, and he starts off the video package. It's great. It's like, do I have any message for Damian Priest? My message to him is try to keep up. And then it goes into a big, long spiel about all his accomplishments. And ultimately, we get the news that they are going to fight next week, which I'm looking really forward to. I don't know quite when we got the news, but somewhere in the mix we got a video package about Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee, and they're going to have a rubber match next week, and guess what? I still don't care. Oh, yes. Roderick Strong, our NXT North American champion, taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Now, I like this, because we already know Walter's in the main event. He's the UK champion. Here we have the North American champion, and we have the Cruiserweight Championship being decided in the opener. The 3 titles that were not represented last week when we saw the NXT title, the women's title, and the tag titles. Think about this for a second, if you want to count the UK title, because I know the UK title represents the UK brand, and it's kind of separately, but Walter's being featured more here. So, are we going to go on the fence of saying that NXT has 6 titles? Because that's more titles than Raw or SmackDown has. It just seems like they're doing better things with them. Collar and elbow tie up and a snapmare by Strong and a headlock takeover, chain wrestling sequence and a jumping super kick by Scott, chops by Scott, front suplex and a splash. Chops in the corner by Strong, strikes and a dropkick by Scott, forearm in the corner by Scott. Both men trade some shots, backbreaker by Strong, chops, forearms in the corner, backbreak by Strong, again, chops against the ropes, third backbreaker by Strong, mounted punches and a mudhole stomp. Strong stomps and works on the back that he's been doing with the backbreakers. It's all good. He eventually works it, and I was trying to see this because this is one of those picture-in-picture things that I actually did get to see. It looked like he was trying to get him into a seated abdominal stretch. If it was something else, somebody tell me again, once again, down in the box below. Both men trade some shots. There's a stiff shot by Scott. That's hard to say. It's not really. I just Words. Lariat, second rope elbow by Scott and a suspended DDT, and then all of a sudden we see the Undisputed Era at ringside. But the match continues. Overhead suplex, flatliner, a jumping kick by Scott, super kick by Scott, and a double stomp on the outside. There's a distraction by Undisputed Era, end of heartache, stronghold, Strong wins the match. Because of course he does. Scott, even though I like him, even though he's really good, I had a chance to see him in Destiny before he came to NXT, really good, but this is like his second or third match on NXT. He's not going to be beating one of their champions yet, is he? All four members of the Undisputed Era stand tall in the ring. Cole has a microphone. He mocks Scott, telling him he's not on Strong's level. He talks about how the best come to NXT because they want to test themselves against us. They've got a dream of unthroning us. People like Balor, people like Ciampa have a dream of unthroning us. And all of a sudden you hear, without changing cameras yet, did I just hear the word dream? And it's Velveteen Dream. And he's not on a couch this week because he's gotten up off the couch. They've set him up on a balcony. And he's just sort of talking down to the masses. And it's a really nice, neat little touch. It's not huge or grandiose. It's not all of a sudden NXT has pyro. But it was a nice little touch. Some of you are not so great. He has this photoshopped picture of Roderick Strong with the North American Championship around his waist, and otherwise he's naked. So we have an NXT North American Championship rematch in 2 weeks, and I'm going to strip you of that title, and I'm going to show people that you don't measure up. He flips to another picture. It's Roderick Strong, same picture, without the belt, with a little tiny sensor thing over his dick. So we've got Velveteen Dream coming for the title, making fun of Roderick Strong's dick. Because wrestling. And then he's like, you know, Dream over, does the snap thing. Lights go out. And it's all over, right? Except it's not, because you hear the heartbeat thing, and Ciampa shows up on the entranceway, and he's still got the crutch, which is great. Not only does he still have the crutch is still camouflage shaped, and he doesn't like come out swinging, he doesn't come out all erratically, he just sort of stalks his way to the ring, dragging the crutch behind him. And then he stops, and he grabs a chair, and he brings the chair and the crutch into the ring. Everybody fucks off. Undisputed Era fuck off up the ramp, and we get a really good, really short, really concise promo from Tommaso Ciampa, because much like when he made his return last week, he's coming for Adam Cole, but he's not really coming for Adam Cole. He's not even looking Adam Cole in the eye. He's looking right at Goldie, and he grabs the mic, and he just looks at the belt. He says, "Goldie, Daddy's home." That's all he needed to say, because then the crowd started chanting it, and it was all good. That was it. It sucks to be... Okay, Undisputed Era have all the belts right now, but it also sucks to be them right now. I don't know what tag team is going to come after them, because we know the Street Profits are going to the main roster in the draft. If it's not finalized by Friday, it'll be finalized by Monday. But, I mean, Cole has a laundry list of challengers. Obviously, Roderick Strong is going to be facing Velveteen Dream again. Somebody will come for Fish and O'Reilly. That'll be whatever it is down the line. Probably the Forgotten Sons, heel versus heel. I don't really know how that's going to work. Dakota Kai versus Bianca Belair. This was interesting, wasn't it? Because Dakota Kai's just come back. She's, you know, you have to do the WWE thing of you were injured and you were gone, therefore you deserve to win when you come back. You know, Sasha has a tantrum, goes away for 4 months, comes back, she gets multiple title shots. Moving on. But Bianca Belair, they have a hard-on for her, don't they? I feel the need to once again reiterate my take on Bianca Belair. Amazing in the ring, amazing athlete. She could probably kick the ever-loving shit out of me. But I hate her gimmick. I hate the hair thing. It's dumb. Her character's annoying. Moving on. Collar double time and a faceplant by Belair. Double trip and a running kick and a double stomp and a boot by Kai. Snake eyes by Belair. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. Corner spears and an arm drag. Front slam by Belair and a gutbuster. A trip into the turnbuckle by Kai. Clothesline, drop kick. Pump kick off the apron by Kai, followed by some forearms. Axe kick by Kai. Haluva kick by Kai. Double knees by Kai. Corner spear by Belair. Implant buster. Standing star press by Belair. I will admit the standing star press was really nice, but she hits the kiss of death and she gets the win. I don't know why, and it's not that I'm thinking, oh my god, I hate her, I want her to lose, but she's reached a point with the fans now where she's over as fuck. She could have taken a loss here and put over Dakota Kai in what is still trying to mount up to being her return. And then they gave Bianca Belair my Jesus, why? She sort of mumbled through it, and there was a lot of like, oh, look at how gangsta I am. I'm never going to do that voice again because it's terrible. But basically, she was shooting on Rhea Ripley, and she was shooting on the fact that Rhea Ripley shouldn't get a title shot. Anybody that wants a title shot has to go through me. Now, First of all, that's not true, because that's what William Regal's there for. Second of all, how many title shots has she had? Either one-on-one or multi-person matches. She's had her shots. Io Shirai has had her shots. Much as I hate to say it, Mia Yim has had her shots. Rhea Ripley needs to be the next women's champion. Moving on, and I would say the same. You guys know I love Mia Yim. I would say the same if they were lining up Mia Yim again. I would say the same if they were doing Io Shirai again. Candice LeRae just got destroyed, like, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Next week, we're going to have Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic, and I just don't care. And then we move on to the main event, which is Kushida versus Walter, which should be the biggest international David versus Goliath match ever. But Kushida's awesome, and Walter can go big show when he needs to, and that's not an insult. I'm just saying playing down to a smaller guy. Walter tosses Kushida across the ring by the head to start the match. Front face lock, and he grounds Kushida, chops by Kushida, pulls... sorry. I cannot read my own writing. He pulls the ropes down, kicks Walter out of the ring, boot by Kushida, boot by Walter. Now, if you've been watching my show for a long time, or you've been watching this channel, or if you've even heard of this channel, you know that as soon as I say boot by Kushida, boot by Walter, the next words that are usually going to come out of my mouth are anything you can do, I can do better. You guys know I love that story. Not the case in this case. There is no bigger illustration of the discrepancy between these two guys, and boot by Kushida, boot by Walter, and how different those two statements are, because Jesus Christ, I think Walter kicked Kushida's teeth into the back of his skull. Anyways, single leg grab by Walter, and then he hits that chop. And I say that chop in capital letters on my notes because it's where he gets him tied up in the ropes, no protection, and he sort of looms over from the back and just sort of clubs him. It's that chop that he does where everybody's done like the still photos of like the dents that look like they form on people's chests when it hits, or when you see the slow motion chops and you see all the flesh of their chest just do really, really weird, terrible, horrible things. So it's that chop, and until I come up with something else better, it's going to be called that chop. Forearm shots by Kushida, chop knockdown by Walter, DDT by Kushida. DDT by Kushida on Walter is a hell of an accomplishment, isn't it? All on its own. Boot and an axe handle and a hip toss. Hip tossing Walter. Figure that one out. Armbreaker by Kushida. Walter steps on his face on the apron. He guts it. He's trying to get him in an armbar. I think it was over the top rope. And then he's sort of on the apron. Walter's standing on the apron. He stands on his fucking face. And the simplicity and the sort of terror that comes with that, because you can do all kinds of really good wrestling moves. You can do a proper suplex, or you can do a really, really intricate submission, or as a big guy, you can do a high spot and it's terrifying. Or you can do the other side of that where it's like, I'm huge, I don't even need to do a wrestling move, just let me step on your face. It's a different level. They trade some chops on the apron, which, I mean, it's sort of like the boots, isn't it? A chop from Kushida is not a chop from Walter at all. DDT off the apron by Kushida was nice, because while he was jumping up to DDT him off the apron, he didn't look like he landed on his head. He looked like he rotated him a bit too far, and when the DDT happened, he actually landed on his shoulder. Really awkward, but the awkwardness made it look good, if that makes sense. He hits him with an overhead hook. Hoverboard lock by Kushida. Sleeper by Walter. Armbreaker by Kushida. Boot by Walter and a suplex. Hoverboard lock on the... There's jockeying for position on the second turnbuckle, and Kushida gets Walter a little bit bent over, enough to put him in the hoverboard lock. Sort of floats over, slams him off the second rope into the ring, onto the mat, without letting go of the hoverboard lock. That was... And I hate to say this, and I'm not taking a shot at AEW, I think they're doing good so far, but it was a more believable version of Riho suplexing Nyla Rose. Take that for what it's worth. Drop kick by Kushida, chop in a series of kicks, drop kick by Walter, powerbomb. Now that earth-shattering powerbomb where he just looks like he's throwing you into the mat. Match is over. 1, 2. No, it's not. I mean, we're 2 seconds away from the end of the show, but I have never... I talked about it last week. You get an immediate electric reaction in that Full Sail crowd, that small, intimate crowd. And when he kicked out of the powerbomb, that place lit up. I mean, it didn't light up a second later when he got hit with a ripcord clothesline and lost, but in that brief moment where that powerbomb that has taken out the likes of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and all these tough motherfuckers in NXT UK, Kushida takes that powerbomb and kicks out, has something in him left to kick out. That something gets absolutely squeezed out of him when he gets hit with that ripcord. But it was a cool little moment. You saw the crowd get one last little gasp out of them before the end of the match. It was really, really good. Before the commentators sign off for the night, we send to, I can't think of her name, but the breaking backstage news. And I love this because the breaking backstage news happened after the 10 o'clock hour. So after AEW was over, anybody that was clicking over at the very last minute would have caught this. We got Ciampa is making his in-ring return next week on NXT against Angel Garza, whoever, sacrificial lamb for Ciampa, is it not? And then we got the Velveteen Dream match confirmed for 2 weeks from now. So they've set up a nice little stack here. They put the best match, I'm sorry to Walter and Kushida, but the best match was the Cruiserweight title match, beginning of the night, to pick up any of the fans that would have been lost to the AEW delay, and any of the fans that wanted to tune in after AEW got these announcements, and know now that next week we've got Ciampa versus Garza, we've got Dijak versus Lee for the people that care about that, and we got Pete Dunne versus Damian Priest. 2 weeks from now, we got a North American Championship rematch between Dream and Strong. And NXT's a lot of fun, guys. I'm gonna hit. I was gonna say pause. It's not gonna be pause because it's the end of the video. You fucking idiot. I'm going to hit stop in a second. Edit this video while I watch AEW. Probably tweet about it. Probably say a whole bunch of stuff that you guys will disagree with. But whatever. It's NXT. It's what we do here. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, we've got the Cruiserweight Championship under the NXT banner. It's going to be yellow instead of purple any day now. I know it. I'm tagging out. Bye.